I do have participants. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. My name is Jose Galvin. Thank you for your patience as we get started today. Hopefully everybody can hear me all right. I'm going to go ahead and check chat really quick just to see. And just to double check, we are, this is the eVetSites weekly orientation for December 5th, and we are covering search engine optimization today, just sort of a general coverage. We're not going to get too into the nitty-gritty specifics, and hopefully answer some questions, and maybe even have some fun. Let me make sure that my mic looks okay. Yeah. Oh, okay, so there's not that many participants today, since I know that it's a holiday and we're coming up. If you cannot hear me, um, and if you can't if you can't hear me, please message me in the text box so we can figure out what's going on. I need to make sure that um, everything's working okay, and we want to uh, make sure everyone can hear and see everything that we're covering. Okay. Well, just to recap, just as an introduction, my name's Jose Galvin. I work here at VIN, just coming up on my 10-year anniversary with eVetSites. I come from a telecommunications background and don't have any veterinary uh, acumen per se. I do love cats. I've got a couple of them. We have a veterinarian who is also a VIN member and is also an eVetSites member. So there's me, and here's the rest of our team. And today we're going to talk about search engine optimization. So this is, I'm going to use one of our clients here, Family Veterinary Clinic in Gambrills, Maryland. If you would like me to use your site as an example, let me know, please, because we will be glad to help. And we'd love to use you as an example so that we can go ahead and get to the specifics of these things. So SEO is search engine optimization. And basically what this is it's a discipline of trying to get us to rank higher for a search term. An organic search is a search that you do in Google that has nothing to do with the ads. So for example, if I do veterinary websites, so here's our competition. Here's some website examples here, and these different people that are coming up for this term. And depending on what you put in, you'll get different uh, results. So what you look for is going to definitely affect your results here. Now these ads here that you see, ad, and ad, this is not part of SEO, because this is not something that you're SEO is the organic results, so things that people are not paying for. As you can see here, we are number one for this particular search, veterinary website hosting. It's a little particular because there's hosting and then there's veterinary websites and all that sort of thing. And so what we're going to go over is the ways that you can improve your SEO. Now, SEO is split up into two main areas. There's the on-site SEO, which has to do with everything that's on your website. You know, we can talk about things like the way that the site's put together, your content, um, the the way that the site is structured and connects from one page to another. This is all part of your on-site SEO. Your off-site SEO has to do more with how the site is perceived via other avenues. In other words, if we go ahead and do a search here, and I'm going to use this company called Moz. They've got this little online checker, and we can see the different listings that they've got. So, for example, they have listings here. They've got complete listings on Google, Super Pages, Info Group, Newstar, Localese. There's all these different directories that are out there. And what happens is these different websites have links that point to a practice or a business, and that helps the SEO because you're it's a referral. Think of it like if you come to Davis, California, maybe you're here to visit Paul, and you say, well, you know, where's a good place to get a burrito? Oh, so we'll say Taqueria Guadalajara. It's kitty corner to the VIN offices. You know, we've eaten there. We like it, and so we can give you that referral. Well, in that same way, these different directories have this information, and they're referring you there. I've got another orientation on the 19th, talking just about local listings. So today is mostly going to be about on-site, but I wanted to at least just touch on that. So for example, here you can see that they've got some pretty consistent information. Family Veterinary Clinic, they've got their address, they've got the phone number, and they've got the website. All right, so if you've got these things and this information is consistent, this will definitely help out. You want to have the same thing, the same information across all these different platforms: Google, Facebook, Yelp, Bing, all the different places where you can put these things in. Now, if you look here, you'll see that there's a little bit of inconsistencies here because of the way this is put together. Notice that here it's 1413 Defense Highway Suite 100, and here it's 1413 Defense Highway. That Suite 100 is the key. Here it's just 100. Kind of like your IDs, right? If you've got something incorrect, or not incorrect, but different, you get in trouble when you're trying to board a flight or trying to check out some library books or whatever. So this is off-site SEO. We'll talk a little bit about listings next week, but the on-site SEO is what we're going to really kind of dig in on today. And so let's go ahead and focus on that. The main thing is that there's no magic bullet. I'll go over a couple of frequently asked questions. There's no magic bullet. You can't just pay someone to be number one, but there are things that you can do to definitely show up higher. The first thing is your content. Content is the biggest part of it. So if you have your locations, you want to tell people what you do and where you do it. These folks are a full-service animal hospital in Crofton, Gabriel, Bowie, Odenton, and Wachapel. So they are definitely doing great for themselves for those areas. If we did a search for, let's see, how about Gamble? All right, so this is going to be a tough one. So these guys have it right in their name. But look, in spite of that, Family Veterinary is right on their tails. It's on their homepage. So this is fantastic. They're on the first page, and they're still nipping at this one. And this is tough. I mean, they've got the name right in the title. There's actually some discussion going on in SEO community forums and whatnot about how people are changing the names of their businesses just so they can get better SEO. So what used to be, Jose's Garage Door Company has now become, Woodland Garage Door or Davis Garage Door, so that way it reaches more people, and it's more generic. It's kind of like the old, I'm showing my age here, but the old days we had the generic food lines, these plain packages that just said, like frosted cereal or cornflakes or whatever. Well, now people are kind of doing that. They're genericizing their names so they can reach more people via SEO. So for this here, Gambril's Veterinarian, they're showing up because they've got it right on their page, and it may be that they've got it listed throughout. Here they repeat it. It might be that they've got it on another page. So the About Us, maybe they talk about it. Here it is in Crofton and Gambril's. There's an art to putting it in, a search term, and not making it seem artificial. If you overdo it, you do what's called keyword stuffing, where it doesn't sound natural. It doesn't read natural. It reads like some sort of weird spammy sales thing, right? And so what you can do is just look for areas where you're talking about the practice and include the communities that you service. You might not be able to do that in a page about spay and neutering for canines, right? I mean, it's one thing to say, well, here's some general information, but it's kind of hard to talk about Gambril's in this context, and that's fine. You're not going to be able to do it on every page. Don't make a square peg go into the round hole, and vice versa. On the other hand, if you've got a place where you're talking about driving directions, for driving directions to family veterinary clinic, here I would say from the communities of X, Y, and Z, where X, Y, and Z are the names of the towns that you have clients from. Or maybe there's a place that you want to target. When we have the conversation, and I'm hoping everyone on this call will reach out to me afterwards, or that respond to the email that we'll send out, and hopefully we can have a one-on-one conversation. This is part of that convo that we'll have. We'll talk about the areas that you service. We'll talk about the specialties there, the strengths of the practice. Those are all things that you can put on the website. Good content to make you climb up higher in your search engine rankings. The other thing that's good is to have original content. We know, and even on this page, there's some reflections from the framework that we give folks. We start off the eVetSites with this framework so you don't just have a blank page. But it's important to really have it be as original as you can. So little things like this, cats in the Crofton area require immunizations and regular visits to vets. This is good stuff. I mean, it's telling the truth. It's bordering on stuffy. I think the doctor there is pretty techy, but she's still doing great. She's telling people what they do and where they do it. So include, don't just have the stuff that we give you, change it, personalize it, put your own spin on things. If you have any community involvement, talk about that. This right here is a very generic area, and I'm not saying this to bash them. I'm just showing you this is a great starting point. So we give people this framework, and then we're hoping that you're going to put in something like, Dr. So-and-so loves to run 10Ks. We enjoy, here's our Halloween dress up where all the dogs are dressed up, or whatever the case may be. Any source that ties to the community are a great opportunity to talk about the things that tie you to that community, and it's going to show up more in search results, because then it just doesn't look like this generic page that was put together, doesn't have any kind of stock content. So whatever you can include in here that's original will help you out. Something else, and it is like these images. So now I know for a fact this is a stock image here, but it really helps to personalize it, right? So if we have the team here, then we know, hey, here's different people here. Maybe, I live in a small town, West Sacramento. We're across the river from the state capital here in California. And you're bound to run into someone that you know if you go to our Target or a supermarket or whatever. So if you know, depending on the size of your community, people will see and they'll recognize the staff. You know, this is good to have that in there. Again, another great opportunity to talk about the locations, you know, different geographic locations that people reside. You don't have to be too specific. And obviously, there's concerns about privacy and safety. We don't need to say, you know, hey, you know, Debbie lives at, you know, 123 Smith Road or anything like that. Um, you just, all you have to say is, you know, residents of blah, blah, they love such and such, and off you go. And these sorts of things will really help out because, again, it's gonna help out. Here's Crofton again. You see Maryland shows up 3 times here, which is again, you're kind of showing not the localism, but you're showing some geographic information, and that way people can go ahead and show up for those different terms. Okay, so we know we've covered some content and original content and how to put that in. The other thing I want to talk about is modifying your images. If you noticed, when I mouse over this, you'll see the name of the doctor, name of the practice, and the location. We want to go ahead and have image tags for every image on the page. A lot of these come this way right from the get-go, but you can certainly add text to every image. So here's, yeah, looks like she's done it. It can be, this is the easiest way to do it. The name of whatever the picture's about, the name of the practice, and you notice it's separated by these little dashes, and then the location. So our practice manager or our janitor, Jose, you know, Midtown Veterinary Clinic, Sacramento, California. You know, that's perfectly all right, and that's like the easy, bare bones, let's get this done image tag. Another thing you can do, and I'll show you a kind of a how-to that I've written, and I'll put this in the chat. So on this one, you'll notice that there's other things where you can see veterinarians serving town, village, neighborhood, and borough. Welcome to our site. You can, you know, you can add a sentence. If you're reading this, you're seeing alt text in action. SEO help from eVetSites, a VIN company, alt text. So this gives people some more information. You can use a sentence. What I don't want to see, and what I hope that you don't take away from this, is that you just want to stuff it with a bunch of keywords. Dog, feline, cat, equine, vaccines, budget, affordable. You know, that doesn't really tell anybody anything. If you're going to go this route, do a simple sentence like I'm doing here, or include a small snippet like this. Dr. Chandra Schofield, Family Veterinary Clinic, Crofton and Gambrills, Maryland. You know, very simple, to the point. Because that'll help out SEO. What's happening is that Google is going to index this. Well, you know what? I haven't really talked about index. I'll talk about that in a second here. They're going to basically come and get a copy of this website, and then that's going to help them make a determination. All right, so indexing. You know, this is actually something I should have said at the very beginning of the call, but that's fine. So how Google finds your website is through a program called a bot or a spider. They have different names for the different tasks of these programs. So the programs go out, they find a website. On the website, it goes to links. It follows the link. If there's more links on the page, it continues along until, you know, it finds everything, and it continues to go on until it finds as many pages as possible from a website. If a site is put together correctly, and by say correctly, I'll explain that. You won't even have to do anything. Google will come along, it'll find home, it'll go to About Us, it'll find these different links here, and it'll continue onwards to get more information. So you see I've got all this information here, and you know, obviously you can continue on, you can read testimonials and all that. This doesn't happen in real time. It occurs every couple of days, every couple of weeks. If you do, and I'll show you this cool trick in a second here, we can see the last time they go, you know, they've been to your site. If you do site colon yourwebsite.com. Before I forget, oh yeah, let me put that in there. All right, so there's what it's going to be like. Site colon, all one word, yourwebsite.com. And then when you see this little arrow, this little down arrow, you hit the drop down and you go to cache, it'll give you a time that they came by. So they came by on the 3rd. They took a snapshot of the page, kind of saw everything that's on the page, and they indexed it. So it's a catalog of the site. If things have changed since then, somebody was let go, you are now expanding to 2 locations, there's another doctor available, you're going to want to let Google know, and we can do that via a thing called Google, well, it used to be called Webmaster Tools, now it's called Google Search Console. And Google Search Console is a resource for webmasters, lets you submit information. You can, in this one, here I'm administering the one for eVetSites.com, so I can give them site maps. I can tell them, hey, come by, check out a particular website, a particular page, and you can do all this sort of thing through this free interface. Strongly urge everyone on this call to, if you don't have a Gmail account currently or a Google account, please get one, so that we can then have, when we do have that conversation, I can give you access to Google Analytics, the console, Webmaster Tools, and all the other free tools that Google offers. Okay, so we've talked a little bit about these images. We're going to go ahead and add, you know, some guidelines. Every image is great because these things all kind of come together. And I'm going to just show you an example of why this is important. My kids are all a little bigger now, but we used to have what's called a DVD limit. And what the DVD limit is we get to a point in the trip where if we're traveling somewhere, and if we're traveling to visit family, once the DVD is done, then we kids get restless. We got to pull over. So, you know, one time I was on the couch, and I'm looking through this and kind of poking around, and I noticed, this was years ago, like I said, a little smaller, and I noticed that my wife was doing this, because she's infinitely much more clever than I am. And as she's poking around, and she's looking at things, we did something like, I think she did something like, and so she was actually going straight to the food. And so we were able to find a place that had veggie burgers and that had stuff for kids. So here's the stuff, and they also have brewery. So she was able to get all this stuff through the image, because the image has tags on it, and they have also added food, or they've added text around that supports what's on the image. So all these different images here are actually doing work for you. Sometimes people will do searches through the image tab, and not so much through this one over here. There's all these different ways to get to a website, and there's, you know, I'm not going to say there's one is better or whatever, but these are things that you can go ahead and look at. And so again, they really improved their site. There's a whole bunch of different things that you can do here. Now using these searches, but put your images to work. And if you do something like grooming, if you've got a kennel, if you do boarding, those sorts of things will make a difference because all right, so here's some different places. This lady, this looks nice. It's it's green. Here's the critters. They're all happy. No one's snarling, right? These are all these pictures are sort of going to bat for the practice. Here's another one. That same lady, right? If I had a dog and I needed pet sitting, I might be liable to click on that and investigate. We're visual creatures. So everything that you do, or how about this one, pet boarding in Sarasota? This looks fantastic. It's a big open green area. There's no depressing cages. I know I've seen some like this. All right, here's one right here. They always look like, they're kind of sad when they see that stuff. People like to see the animals unencumbered and having a great time. So think about that when you're taking your pictures. Instead of using stock images that we have on there, think of them just as placeholders. Add the content, tag the images, and that'll definitely help you out. Okay, next thing we want to talk about is how the site appears on search engines. And this is just a little bit complicated, but not too much. I just want to show you this so that you can see. Every time you look at a website or you do a search, you're going to see three things here. You can see this big blue thingy, this big blue link that we click on, this green text, and then, of course, we're going to see the text that's underneath. So what this is, I'll go ahead and stretch this really quick here. You actually have full control over how this displays on your website. This is not something that's just kind of left up to chance or, anything like that. This is something that you completely have control over. So if I go here, finish this. Okay. So here, and if you've got two monitors, this is a good time to put them both to use. Again, site : family veterinary clinic, and here's your results. Now, what Google will do is they're going to look this right here, this big blue, well, it's purple now. This blue thing comes from this part right here, the title. See how it says Family Veterinary Clinic, Procter & Gamble's home. This part here, see how it says Vaccine Dogs or Hours Policies or Vaccines Cats? That's called the slug. That comes from this part here. Since it's the home, it's blank right there. But if I go to About Us, you see that it says About Us there. And the final part, and one of the more important areas, is this text here. This is coming from the description. So, knowing that you have complete control over that, you can change these to reflect more what's actually on that page. And it's important that it reflects what's on that page, because if it doesn't, Google will, I don't want to say punish, but it will adjust your rankings accordingly. I don't like to say punishment or dinging or anything like that, because that implies that there's some sort of moralistic judgment, and really it's just mathematics. All they're looking at is these terms here, and then the content on the page, and seeing if they match. If they don't match, then it doesn't rank very high. So let's look at this one. Hours Policies, range and services, adoptions. This one doesn't look very good. There's not a lot of information here on adoptions. So let's see where we can find that page. More features. All right, so here's the adoptions page. And there's not much. I mean, it's just kind of it looks like there's a plugin, I think. Yeah, it's a plugin from this is Petfinder.com, which is great. I mean, they get people together with animals. You know, anytime a critter is adopted or humans adopted, that's a good thing. So, but what they don't have is any information talking about it. So I'm going to add some stuff. What I'm going to do is I'm going to call this adoptions. Um, then I'm going to center this. And let's just add something on here, just to add a. Kind of short. There's not a lot really that we can say about this thing, right? I mean, here's an adoptable pet, um, but it tells people some information. At least we've got something for it to chew on now. So I'm going to copy this and go to Edit menu, and I'm going to put this in here because now we have something other than just menu, home, back, about us, who we are, blah blah blah. Because that doesn't really tell anybody anything. It's not some useful information. Now, if you wanted to, you could do this. And if you were to do something like this, you would experience a very quick surge in popularity from the search engines, and then you would be just quickly dipped down. Again, not a ding or a punishment, but it would definitely plummet to the bottom because what you're doing here by adding these things is messing up. Is you're changing the ratio of what the content is on there. What Google is trying to do is trying to deliver people information that's accurate and forthright. They don't have really a way of peering into our conscience to see what we meant to say, or if we just goofed up, or we just did Control F on something else. All they can say is, well, look, this text doesn't match what's on the page, and so we're going to adjust it accordingly. So what we can do is make sure that whatever is on here is also on the page. You can kind of make your own sentences too. If there was something else, and I'll show you an example in a second here. Uh, let's go to exams cats. It's important to make sure your feline friend stays healthy and active. All right, so this is nice. I wonder why they're not using this. So let's find out. So they're using this because the actual terms, important, feline, friend, healthy, and active, oh, well, it is there. Well, I don't know why they're not including that. Sometimes they don't, sometimes there's no telling what they're considering in there. But they definitely, it looks like they pulled this from the physical exam down here, which is fine. Uh, you know, but if you want to get the best results, use the content that's on the page to make sure it's in there. What you should not see is a blank page, something like this. This doesn't really tell people anything. Um, a page like this, even this helps out, so much more because this actually tells people. where you are. So let's go to what's this check cats. So this is nutrition. So let's see what's on here. This helps people a little bit more. And there we go. Now we've got a good description and a title. I won't spend too much time on this. Just know that we've got information to help you with this, and that we will, that if you would like to read more on it, if I'm going too fast, or if you just want to kind of take your time going through it, I'll put the link in the chat. And this kind of goes over what we just did, talking about different pages, importance of the titles, and all that sort of business. Okay, so we've covered titles, we've covered images. Let me go back in here. I want to talk a little bit about the way the page is put together. I'll ask in if anybody wants to offer up their website as an example. We have, again, we start folks out with a template or a framework that people can start with. It has links, it has some things built right in, but we certainly encourage everyone to customize their pages and to make them as original as possible. In addition, the way the page is put together has something to do with it. So if you're looking at the site here, you'll notice that there are links throughout the home page for feline care and canine care. You'll also see that they've got a virtual tour where they talk to people. This is kind of a fancy thing. What they did is they hired a Google certified photographer. They came in and did those weird things with the cameras where they go through, went through the facility, took pictures, and they've got this kind of 360-degree effect. It's kind of fancy, but it's very effective. When you're putting together your pages, make sure that you don't have orphans. So, and make sure that the titles are silos. What I mean by silo, it's just the same as if you have grain or corn or any sort of food stuff. So everything under About Us is about the practice. Who we are, the hours, the team, reviews. Services about the stuff that they do. Resources are things that are kind of like customer education, client education, different generic, the generic term is resources, or for our clients, whatever the case may be. These are all kind of informative deals. And then of course there's Contact Us, which is just all the different things about contacting the practice. A good rule of thumb is to not have more than a half dozen or so top level menu items. You really don't have that many different things. All the information on your page is important, but putting it together is a big part of SEO, because if you have too many initial choices, you'll have people disappear from you, right? They're going to see it, they'll get overwhelmed, and you don't want that. You want people to kind of hang out into the site, get the information they need, and then do whatever it takes to continue onwards to contacting them. That said, we also want to have it so that if you have a top level menu, you notice I've got this About Us and I click on it, make sure that the top level menu leads to the pages underneath. So here's About Us, who we are, hours, meet, team, reviews. Notice that these are all linked here. If you're not sure how to link, if you have a lot of sub pages, again, let's have that conversation. I'd be glad to help you with that. You can even do a tune-up on it. By having these links on here, you're helping two different situations. Well, actually, multiple situations, but the two main ones are people that are on mobile devices, because if you smush this, you notice that everything, here's the hamburger. You're pulling this up on your, on this iPhone or whatever. If you pull this up, here are these links. And now somebody can just tap on them and continue onwards. We've got the three lines up here, so you still can use these. But let's face it, it's a little bit more work, right? You're having to tap, tap, tap to get to the different location. For instance, if you're just scrolling down and just if you see a link, you just tap on the link. So give people choices. Um, include links to the sub pages from the top pages, and we can help you with that along the way as well. Notice that these all have kind of a links to the different things here. It talks about emergency inquiries in the services page. This has the pages down below, makes things really easy so somebody can get from one page to another. How you put the page together is important because then you've got links, and again, this is something that Google is really excited about. Let's see if they have this in the new version. All right, yeah, they do. I actually like the way this is laid out better. They just recently updated this. So the search console there's kind of this weird area where there's two versions. There's the old version that's still going on. Down here it says go to the old version. I released that one, and then we got the new version. So here's the eVetSites website, and here's our link pages. These are all the pages on the eVetSites. We've got 61 pages or so. Here's all the different links. So all our internal links count up to about 1,000. Meaning there's a lot of ways to get back and forth on the pages. You're making this easy, again, like I mentioned, for people on mobile devices. There's a lot of people using them, but you're also making it easy for these programs. So besides Google, you've got Bing, you've got DuckDuckGo, you've got Yahoo. And all these search engines utilize the same type of bots. They use the same programs. They're really, I mean, they're clever programs, but they're dumb programs, right? They're just like, find a link, make a snapshot of content, continue to the next link, and continue on. And they just do that for, until they run out of links or they've traversed the entire website. Here you can see that we've got 1,500 internal links. Here's external links. We'll talk about that in a second. Having the internal links is important, so that way you can get from one part of the page to another. An ideal page, according to Google's guidelines, is not having to use navigation. In other words, not having to click on this and point down to get to the different menu items using a mouse, but just being able to just tap along and just do it purely from links. So think about that when you're putting the site together, or maybe if you need help consolidating the different menus, let me know. I'll be glad to do it. I know sometimes you gotta bite the bullet and get rid of some links or move some stuff around. I'll be glad to help with that. The other part, and again, I know I said this earlier about the next week's chat, or the week after next. I'm sorry, I keep saying next, but it's really the week after next. The following SEO consult, or the following SEO meeting that we're going to do, we'll talk about the online listing, and that's where these top link pages come in. So eVetSites.com is linked from a lot of different places. If you look at these different things here, these are all the pages that are linked to us. And so we have 1,000 sites linking to this. Some of them are our own clients. Some of them are from VIN, different organizations, right? And if we just kind of look at that, they're all kind of helping out. So we have some, besides veterinarians, there's also veterinary organizations that are partnering with VIN, partnering with ESPN. There's different industry things, but they're all kind of going to bat for us as well. And the more of these that you have, these incoming links, it's both the quality and the quantity of the links. Those all kind of come together to help out. There are sections. There are people that may just be starting out. Maybe that's the case with your website, or maybe you've had a site that you've had for a while. You can certainly increase the amount of links by organically You take over you link to your Facebook or social media or whatever. That's a good start. That's probably the main one. And then as you go further along, you're going to have these business relationships, these professional relationships that you have with vendors, with other local companies. There's always that sort of relationship you have with the emergency clinic, maybe the Little League team that you sponsor, um, benefits for schools, whatever the case may be. It seems like everyone's doing a fundraiser for something. Those are all great opportunities for getting that link back. So putting together the site, again, is a big deal because it helps the bots. It also helps people on phones. You want to just always give people choices on how to navigate through there. Okay, let me see here. Anyone have any questions on anything that we've covered so far? Main thing I want to stress is that it's not complicated to do this. There is a little bit of there's a lot of stuff that people aren't, that the average person isn't aware of. But there's most of everything that I've covered today is free. You don't have to charge anybody. You don't have to pay anybody to do it. You could, if you wanted to, go ahead and do it yourself. Um, all right, so we talked about the links, the silo structure. The final PS, I guess, to how we're going to talk about the uh, the website. Here, I'll use these guys too. No, we'll go back. Is your call to action. And the call to action, if you go to, here we'll do a couple different sites. Call to action here is sign up now. We want you to sign up for a trial. If you're already with us, you can do that. If you don't, if you're not part of the sign up, then we invite you to learn more about this stuff. And so we've got these things here. Here's the orientation sessions where we're talking about that. But mostly this is about getting people to sign up now. And if you notice, all these pages are kind of geared towards that. We're telling you why to do it. Hey, look, get started. This is called a call to action, which is you're sort of pushing somebody towards the end goal, right? In this case, um, they're selling us phones, right? And so here is uh, all of these things that there's buy, buy, buy. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. They're here to separate us from our money or really cool stuff. Well, yeah, be an expert. And so uh, this is their call to action. On your site, if you're like most practices, the main thing is to go ahead and to um, get people to just pick up the phone and give you a call. So a new client, you want them to register as a new client. They're a returning client. Maybe you don't need them to call and you just want them to use the online prescription refill or the request appointment thing, right? You don't need those phone lines tied up. And so you can put stuff in here so that way they can use these things and they can fill out the form like we've got here. It's just a request and they can do that. Maybe somebody needs to make an appointment. Here's the appointment widget. They can go ahead and do that. These guys are using Demand Force. The point is that on each of these pages, if you have a goal, the the call to action, it should be to contact you. So think about that here. It should steer people. So here I've got this stuff, veterinarians. If this were me, way at the bottom here, I mean, I know we've got this stuff here. I would go to edit content. And then what we will do is, let's go to the image there. Okay, here's a great one. This one I think even matches. So that's contact us, right? We're steering them towards where we have to go. We want them to pick up the phone. So here's the team. Someone's chugging along. There you go. So think about that when you've got a chance. Um, think about what your goal is. If you are an emergency clinic, think of the easiest way that you can get people in touch with you. If you're a referral clinic, if you're a specialist, think about those. What your end goal is. If you're a veterinary organization, maybe you're looking for members or you're trying to drive recruitment. But in most cases, if you're I want to say just a veterinarian that's helping people out, but you want people to make that connection. So include that, and then you'll do well. It'll help kind of steer folks along. Most people kind of have an idea of what they're looking for, anyways. But if you can nudge them in the right direction, it'll make things easy. Don't just put the information out there. You actually can steer them along, and you'd be surprised. We can look at the traffic patterns for stuff like this and see how it is that people, what people are looking for when they're on a website. Again, this is more what we'll talk about in 2 weeks. Thanks right now. Let's see here. I thought I had him. Oh, here, yeah, here's the guys. All right, let's see if there's some info in here. Hopefully, we've only got a couple minutes left. All right, so here's the main thing: landing page. If you go to the home page, they probably just call us. That's it. Um, so people will come to the home page of eVetSites. Maybe they see the number and they call us, or maybe they do the sign up. And sometimes there's not a lot of people traveling through, but you can definitely have control over that. Okay, so I know we're coming up onto the clock. We've got a couple minutes left. Does anyone have any questions about things that we've covered today? I know we've covered quite a bit: the images, the original content, how to put the page together. I've also included some links on how to fix those things. And I invite everyone here to, if you'd like to have a one-on-one conversation, I'd love to do that. That's what we do. And then that way it can be just about your specifics versus kind of these hypotheticals going on with the other one. I know sometimes people have people will sign on so that way they can get the YouTube. I'm going to put this on YouTube in a little bit so you can also see it, see the replay of it in case you missed part of it. Again, I know I talk to folks that will have this on, they'll wander off, they'll get a call, they'll do different things. That's perfectly fine. I understand everyone's busy. That's what we're here for. So here is a here's a link for the SEO consultations. These are the one-on-one consultations, and just like the orientation that we did today, there is no there's there's no charge for it. This is part of what you're paying for already. Okay, thank you again for everyone showing up today. Appreciate everyone taking their time. Um, Invite everyone on the call to please join us on social media. This is also something you can do for your own sites. Facebook.com, eVetSites, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Our YouTube is from, well, I won't say fantastic, but it's getting there. We're adding content every time we do these orientations, so we'd love to hear from you. Um, and if anyone wants to, let me go ahead and see here. Yes, so we'd love to hear from you. We also welcome your kind words. If you have a Google account and you'd like to shoot us a review, we'd appreciate that as well. If anyone has any questions, feel free to reach out to me. My name is Jose. Our email is support@evetsites.com. Thank you all for showing up today, and hope to see you soon in another orientation. Thank you.